Canada, the second largest country on Earth. A land of towering mountains, crystal-clear lakes, and forests that stretch further than the eye can see. But here's something that might shock you. 90% of Canada's population lives within just 150 miles of the U.S. border. That means the rest of this massive country is almost completely empty. So what's up there? What's keeping people away from some of the most breathtaking landscapes on the planet? Is it the bone-chilling cold, the isolation, the lack of jobs, or something even stranger? In this video, we're going to break down 9 places in Canada where almost nobody lives and uncovering the jaw-dropping reasons why. Some of these will surprise you, some of them will scare you, and at least one will make you question everything you thought you knew about Canada. Before we dive in, if you're new here, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you never miss a video like this. We drop content like this every week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Now, let's get into it. Can you guess which place tops the list? Starting our list at number 9, Prince Edward Island. Now wait, before you click off, yes, PEI is technically Canada's most densely populated province, but with only about 170,000 people living on this tiny island, it still makes our list for a very different reason. It's running out of people fast. PEI is postcard perfect. Red sand beaches, rolling farmland, and charming small towns straight out of a storybook. But living here, that's another story entirely. The economy is narrow, heavily dependent on tourism, potatoes, and fishing. And while those industries keep the lights on, they don't exactly attract ambitious young professionals. The average household income sits at around $61,000, one of the lowest in Canada, and job opportunities outside of seasonal work are genuinely scarce. The island is also physically isolated. There's one road connection to the mainland, the Confederation Bridge, and if you miss the last ferry in the off-season, you're stuck. For many residents, that feeling of being cut off from the rest of the country is more than just geographic, it's psychological. Winters, while not the harshest in Canada, still bring freezing temperatures, icy roads, and brutal Atlantic winds that make outdoor life miserable for months. Young people are leaving in droves, heading to Halifax, Toronto, or beyond for better opportunities, and without a steady influx of new residents, PEI's long-term future remains uncertain. If you've ever thought about moving to PEI, drop a comment below and tell us why. We'd love to know. Number 8. New Brunswick. It's bilingual, it's beautiful, and it's quietly becoming one of Canada's most overlooked provinces. With a population of around 800,000 people spread across nearly 29,000 square miles, the density here is painfully low. The economy tells the real story. New Brunswick has struggled for decades with chronic youth outmigration, young people finishing school and immediately packing their bags for Ontario or Alberta. The province relies heavily on forestry, fishing, and manufacturing, industries that have been shrinking for years. The median household income is about $60,000, well below the national average, and outside of Fredericton and Moncton, job options are slim. Healthcare access in rural areas is a real crisis, with some communities waiting years for a family doctor. Winters here are no joke either. Heavy snowfall, thick ice, and temperatures that regularly hit -20 degrees Celsius, -4 degrees Fahrenheit. And the fog, coastal communities can go weeks with barely a glimpse of sunlight. For all its forests, rivers, and rugged coastlines, New Brunswick can feel like a province the rest of Canada forgot. And unfortunately, its own residents seem to agree. Number 7. Nova Scotia. It sounds like a dream, and in summer it kind of is, but peel back the postcard and you'll find Nova Scotia wrestling with serious problems. With roughly 1 million people, Nova Scotia is sparsely populated outside of Halifax. The province has one of the oldest and most rapidly aging populations in Canada, with young people consistently leaving for greener pastures. The economy leans heavily on seafood, tourism, and education, but the job market is tight. Housing in Halifax has spiked dramatically in recent years, with median home prices now exceeding $450,000, a shock for what used to be an affordable maritime province. Meanwhile, rural communities are hollowing out, with schools closing and businesses shutting down. Winters bring relentless storms off the Atlantic, with freezing rain making driving dangerous for months on end. And internet connectivity in rural areas? Still a major issue in 2025. Nova Scotia has charm in spades, but charm doesn't pay the bills. Number 6. Saskatchewan. If you've ever driven across Saskatchewan, you already know. The highways stretch so far ahead of you that the earth literally curves. You can drive for 3 hours and feel like you haven't moved. With just over 1.2 million people and nearly 252,000 square miles, Saskatchewan has a population density of roughly 5 people per square mile. It is, quite simply, one of the emptiest places in the developed world. The economy runs on agriculture and potash mining, and while these industries are valuable, they're also brutally seasonal and increasingly automated. Regina, the capital, has fewer than 250,000 residents. Saskatoon is bigger, but still modest by national standards. Winters in Saskatchewan are legendary for all the wrong reasons. Temperatures can plunge to minus 40 degrees Celsius, minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and with the wind chill factored in, it can feel even colder. Blizzards can shut down entire highways for days. The flat terrain gives the wind absolutely nothing to slow it down. Summers flip the script with scorching heat, grasshopper swarms, and the constant threat of drought that could wipe out an entire year's harvest overnight. Think you could survive a Saskatchewan winter? Let us know in the comments. We're curious how tough our viewers really are. Number 5. Newfoundland and Labrador is one of the most unique places on Earth. It has its own time zone, its own accent, and a culture so distinct it feels like a separate country. But with only about 530,000 people scattered across 156,000 square miles, it's also one of Canada's emptiest provinces. The collapse of the Atlantic cod fishery in 1992 was a devastating blow that the province never fully recovered from. Entire communities were abandoned almost overnight. Today, out-migration continues as young people head to Alberta or Ontario for work. The terrain of Labrador, which makes up the vast majority of the province's landmass, is almost entirely uninhabited. Dense boreal forest, frozen tundra, and some of the most remote wilderness in North America. There are communities in Labrador that can only be reached by small aircraft or snowmobile for months at a time. Winters are punishing, long, dark, and bitterly cold. Coastal storms can be ferocious, and icebergs drifting past the shore in spring are a beautiful but chilling reminder of just how north you are. The median household income sits around $63,000, and while housing is affordable, the cost of imported goods, especially food, can be shockingly high in remote communities. If Newfoundland is on your bucket list, like this video and share it with a friend who needs to see this.
Number 4. Manitoba often gets skipped in conversations about Canada's great provinces, and that oversight perfectly captures the problem. With around 1.4 million people in nearly 250,000 square miles, Manitoba is vast, flat, and for the most part, empty. Winnipeg is the beating heart of the province, home to over half the entire population. Step outside the city and the population thins dramatically. Northern Manitoba is another world entirely. Remote First Nations communities, polar bears wandering into the town of Churchill, and some of the most extreme weather on the continent. Churchill, Manitoba earns a special mention as the polar bear capital of the world. Roughly 900 bears pass through annually. While that sounds incredible, it also means locals genuinely cannot walk outside at night during bear season without risking their lives. Winters in Manitoba rank among the harshest in Canada. Winnipeg is actually colder on average than Moscow. Temperatures regularly drop to minus 30 degrees Celsius, negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit, and wind chills can make it feel like negative 50 degrees Celsius. Summer is brief, beautiful but brief. The economy relies on agriculture, mining, and hydropower with limited diversity. And while Winnipeg offers a reasonable urban lifestyle, the rest of the province struggles with poverty, infrastructure gaps, and isolation.
Number 3. Yukon. Even the name sounds remote. With just 45,000 people, roughly the population of a small suburb, spread across 186,000 square miles, the Yukon is one of the emptiest places in the entire Western Hemisphere. Whitehorse, the capital, holds nearly 75% of the entire territory's population. That means the rest of this massive wilderness is almost completely empty of human presence. The Yukon was built on the Klondike Gold Rush of 1898, and while those days are long gone, mining still dominates the economy. But there aren't many jobs, and the ones that exist are often seasonal or contract-based, sending workers packing when the project ends. Winters are extraordinary in the worst possible way. Temperatures can fall to minus 50 degrees Celsius, minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit in January. The darkness is relentless. In some communities, the sun barely rises above the horizon for weeks. The flip side, summer brings the midnight sun with up to 20 hours of daylight. Beautiful to visit, disorienting to live in. Wildlife encounters are part of daily life. Moose, wolves, black bears, and grizzlies all roam freely. The road network is minimal, and for many communities, winter roads on frozen rivers are the only access point for months. The Yukon is truly wild, and for most people, that's exactly why they leave.
Number 2. The Northwest Territories. Covers over 519,000 square miles, larger than many countries, yet only around 45,000 people call it home. That's a population density of less than 0.1 people per square mile. It is, by almost any measure, one of the most sparsely populated jurisdictions on Earth. Yellowknife, the capital, is home to roughly half the territory's population. Beyond the city, communities are scattered across an almost incomprehensible expanse of wilderness, connected by ice roads in winter and flooded with isolation in spring when the thaw makes those same roads impassable. The economy is anchored by diamond mining. The NWT produces some of the world's finest diamonds, but mining is cyclical, expensive, and increasingly mechanized. When mines close, entire communities can destabilize overnight. The cost of living here is staggering. A basic grocery run in remote communities can cost 3 to 4 times what you'd pay in Toronto or Vancouver, because everything must be flown in. Energy costs are astronomical. Infrastructure in many smaller communities is inadequate. And the cold. The cold is something else entirely. Temperatures in January average negative 26 degrees Celsius, negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit in Yellowknife, but in the far north of the territory, it can plunge to negative 55 degrees Celsius with wind chill. Exposed skin can get frostbite in under 2 minutes. For all its raw, untouched beauty, the aurora borealis blazing across the sky, the pristine lakes and ancient forests, the Northwest Territories remains a place most Canadians will never see, and almost none will ever live.
And here we are, number 1, Nunavut. Nunavut was only created as a territory in 1999, making it Canada's newest and, without question, its most extreme. It covers a jaw-dropping 808,000 square miles. That's larger than Western Europe, and yet fewer than 40,000 people live here. That's a population density of 0.05 people per square mile. To put that in perspective, you could fit the entire population of Nunavut in a single mid-sized shopping mall. The capital, Iqaluit, has fewer than 10,000 residents and sits above the Arctic Circle. There are no roads connecting communities to each other or to the rest of Canada. Everything, food, fuel, building materials, medicine, must be flown or shipped in during the brief summer thaw. A bag of chips can cost $8. A small watermelon, $40. Fresh vegetables are a luxury. Winter temperatures in Nunavut regularly hit -40 to -50 degrees Celsius, with the wind chill regularly pushing it past -60 degrees. There are stretches of months where the sun simply does not rise. The darkness is total, and the mental health toll on residents, particularly those not born into the culture, is severe. Housing is a catastrophic crisis. Overcrowding in communities is rampant, with multiple families sometimes sharing a single small home. The waiting list for public housing in some communities stretches years. Building new homes is extraordinarily expensive because all materials must be transported to some of the most remote communities on Earth. Employment opportunities are almost non-existent outside of government, healthcare, and the military. The median income is shockingly low given the crushing cost of living, and social challenges, including food insecurity, mental health struggles, and substance abuse, are serious issues that the territory continues to grapple with. And yet, Nunavut is staggeringly beautiful. Polar bears, narwhals, Arctic foxes, the most spectacular northern lights you've ever seen blazing over an endless frozen sea. Ancient Inuit culture that has survived in one of Earth's most hostile environments for over 4,000 years. Nunavut is not unlivable, it is home and has always been home to the Inuit people who have built a culture of extraordinary resilience. But for the broader Canadian population, it remains the ultimate frontier, a place that humbles you, terrifies you, and leaves you speechless.
So there you have it. 9 places in Canada where almost nobody wants to live, and the incredible, sometimes shocking reasons why. From the icy coasts of Prince Edward Island to the Arctic silence of Nunavut, Canada hides a side of itself that most people never see. These aren't just empty places, they're some of the most dramatic, beautiful, and unforgiving landscapes on Earth. If you want to know the real truth why a lot of people are leaving Canada, watch this video. Not subscribed yet? What are you waiting for? Hit the like and subscribe buttons so you're notified every time we drop a new video.